Your four favorites are Breaking the Waves, The Swimmer, The Cremator, and Persona. These are all very psychological and kind of call into question a character's perception of reality. I also looked at your longer list of favorites, and you mentioned borderline personality disorder and the works of Camus and Kafka in your comment. So taking all of that into consideration, I was thinking of movies that are psychological and/or philosophical with some hints of surrealism and absurdism. The first movie that came to mind is The Trial. Not only is it based on a Kafka novel, but I feel like it has everything you're looking for in a film. Daisies is another one of my top choices for you. Like Persona, it's an experimental film from 1966 that focuses on two women. And like The Cremator, it's a satirical film that's part of the Czech New Wave. And it's a surrealist film like The Swimmer. Speaking of satirical Czech New Wave films, I'll throw in The Fireman's Ball as well. A Serious Man is another movie that came to mind when I looked at your favorites. And like Breaking the Waves, it depicts someone questioning their faith. It's a black comedy like The Cremator. And like The Swimmer, it's about a man whose life kind of fell apart. I didn't want to recommend two films from the Coen brothers, but I really think you'd like Barton Fink as well, which is another black comedy that's surreal, satirical, and psychological, and it's also very Kafka-esque. And for similar reasons, I think you'd like After Hours. Since you're a fan of Breaking the Waves and surreal cinema, I think you should check out Belle de Jour, and a few other films that explore the psyche of some fascinating female characters that I think you'd like since you like Breaking the Waves are A Woman Under the Influence, Jean Dielman, Juliet of the Spirits, and The Piano. It's difficult to give recommendations based on The Swimmer because I feel like everyone gets something different out of that movie, but I think you might like The Man Who Sleeps, and Wild Strawberries, which is also fitting since you already have a Bergman film in your favorites. And something about your review for The Swimmer just made me think you'd like First Reformed, which also involves religion, like Breaking the Waves. One of the first movies I wrote down when I looked at your four favorites was The Hourglass Sanatorium, and I especially think you'd like this one since you're a fan of The Cremator. The White Ribbon is another one that came to mind, maybe because The Cremator depicts a man's descent into evil, and the director of The White Ribbon said his film is about the root of evil. Since you like Persona, I think you might like Last Year at Marienbad and Woman in the Dunes, because they're both very avant-garde and psychological. Three Women was inspired by Persona. The Double Life of Veronique, like Persona, explores the themes of identity and duality. Honestly, I wrote down over 100 possible recommendations for this one, and it's been very difficult trying to narrow down which ones I wanted to include in the video, but I really wanted to include Take Shelter for its depiction of mental illness, and I just really get the feeling you would like Uncle Boonmee Who Can Recall His Past Lives.